Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Baltimore. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler. We're underway here in the 12th round of action, and Randy, we've got a nice one here. Chris Fennell versus John Finkel.
Yeah, this is to win Pod 2. We've been talking all day about Pod 1, and there were some great names on Pod 1, but Pod 2 had Neil Oliver, John Finkel, Chris Fennell. I mean, there were some great names down there, too. Dan Jordan. Mm-hmm. Well, it comes down to Finkel and Fennell.
To the surprise of not too many, I would say.
No, kind of a skill game, turns out. Interesting to see what these guys do.
Two true limited masters as well. Whoop. Zip that thing right out of there.
No expert for you.
Fire expert does not stick. And a reasonable follow-up play for Finkel as well, who has kind of perfect mana here. No dual lands on the table, but he gets the Summit Prowler down.
So John has some rares.
Well, I've seen him. We had him in
Oh, you had him on a turbo match
He's
previously.
all Jesky'd up over there.
Yeah, I didn't. I heard about the Flying Crane technique. I didn't know he also has an end hostilities.
And an Ascendancy.
Nice.
he played Flying Crane technique with Ascendancy out.
Oh, jeez.
It's like, man. He's also got a banner, which he just played here.
You do what you got to do. He's only got 2 multi-lands. He's pretty solidly 3-color.
Triggers prowess.
Right.
I mean,
he's red, white, splash blue is how he's drawn it up. But
this turn is really nice for him, too. I mean, he gets to attack with Prowler for 4, and then play Banner and Morph, and take a hit from this Morph from Finel, who's going to follow up with really nice card there. Bear's Companion. It's not real fancy, but that thing just does work. I mean, 6 power, 6 toughness over 2 creatures, including a big 4/4 bear that gets your Ferocious going and can block a lot of stuff. It's really nice. So, Randy, there's an End Hostilities in Finkel's hand.
Oh.
Now, it looks like he's taken a more proactive route here, right? He's been curving out.
Yeah.
He used a 1/1 removal spell to kill Fennell's first creature, and then he played 2 creatures after that. So it doesn't look like Finkel is on, plan A, try to get my opponent with End Hostilities. It's more of the reset button here, I'd say. And this Feat of Resistance is going to push that even further.
Wow. Eat your bear.
Wow, nom nom.
Make my guy a 5/4.
Yeah, what's for dinner? Bear, apparently.
Yeah.
And down it goes. He also takes a couple of damage in that exchange.
So Chris's deck is a pretty nice teamer build. I don't know, that looks like we got the names wrong in the headline here.
Yeah.
Chris's teamer, 2 Bear's Companions, 2 Snowhorn Rider, 2 Teamer Charm. Just solid, 3-color good teamer deck from the looks of it.
From my experience, Teamer's a little underdrafted. People seem to kind of avoid it a little bit. And when the good uncommons are flowing, that deck can be really good.
Right. You take that first Bear's Companion late, and then the other one comes.
Yeah.
Bear's Companions can definitely float around the table.
Yeah. And Finel, interestingly, is going to play his Snowhorn Rider first, make sure it doesn't get canceled.
Interesting.
And now battle now that the coast is clear. So in he comes for 4 damage with his 2 small creatures. He doesn't plan on those being able to tussle with the face-up Morph or the 5/4. And Finkel's just going to take 4 damage. Fennell passes his turn back. And Finkel looks to be in a good spot here. I mean, if Fennell's trying to race him, does Fennell have does he have an Icy Blast, or does he have something along those lines?
Who, Fennell?
Yeah, Fennell, yeah.
No.
How about a Crippling Chill? Does he have one of those?
Nope.
He's got to have some way to... I think he loses this race, right? Let's say that thing gets turned face up.
He's got an Arrow Storm.
Okay, well, that could help.
Dragon Scale
Also,
Boom.
by the way, Finkel has stopped attacking.
Well, have you seen Snowhorn Rider? It's large.
I think this is actually a Flying Crane technique on defense. I think we might see that happen. How risky is that if you're Finkel?
Flying Crane technique on defense?
Yeah, let's say Fennell just says, I attack with my Morph and my Snowhorn Rider. John says block. Now he's not really incentivized to do it. It's just Snowhorn Rider.
You push the Prowler in front of it, right? You offer a trade, and if Chris has a trick, you do too?
Yeah. I mean, he certainly has to now.
No, he's going to take it.
Interesting.
If he flips over,
a Morph situation.
If he flips over his Morph, does he get Flying Crane technique to be lethal?
That's a really good point. He could just be setting that up.
Right now, Flying Crane technique only would have done 14.
10, 14, that's right. So he'd be 2 shy.
And if that Morph is 4+ power, he can potentially be playing to set that up.
Totally. That makes sense, Randy. I think you found it.
No, Scaldkin! Scaldkin flies. That messes up everything. Okay, so maybe he was playing for end hostilities the whole time.
No, he was playing for it.
Yeah, Glacial Stalker.
That was it. That was the lethal.
If it wasn't for that Scaldkin, John could just win with this Flying Crane technique.
He was just hoping that Fennell tapped out. Didn't play a flyer.
Draws Bringlow. So he does not have enough mana to kill the Scaldkin and play the Flying Crane technique. Can he do that over the course of 2 turns?
Tormented Voice in his hand. Tormented Voice in his hand, too.
None of his cards are bad, though.
No. I mean, he's in a fine spot.
Sort of. I mean, the way he's played it, he's sort of given away the
initiative.
The initiative.
Yeah, he certainly did that.
Fennell's now the one attacking. Snowhorn Rider is chipping away.
Yeah, because I thought he was going to take a more aggressive stance, but he wanted to really try to set up the combo finish with Flying Crane technique, and that meant he could just sit back, and maybe Fennell doesn't even attack. Maybe Fennell's like, I don't want to mess with whatever morph that is. Yeah. And so I can see how Finkel could make that pivot.
No, John Line seems reasonable. It seems like he might want to bring low. If he bring lows the Scaldkin main phase, but now by letting Chris untap, Scaldkin can be sacrificed. Well, if he takes a hit from Snowhorn plus Scaldkin, then the Scaldkin sack is just lethal, so he can't let that happen. I figure he's going to have to bring low the Scaldkin.
Right.
Which then also sets up this Flying Crane technique next turn. I guess if Chris makes a super aggressive attack, he can also blow him out with Flying Crane technique on defense. Wow. Chris Fennell must have sniffed out that Flying Crane technique.
Absolutely.
Like, why is Scaldkin playing defense
here? He must know. He might have been sitting next to him or something, because there's just no way.
Yeah, 2 rounds. You probably hear about the...
I mean, Fennell's at 16.
Scaldkin on defense.
Yeah, so Scaldkin stays back. And this is interesting for Finkel now, because now all of a sudden Aerostorm is lethal if he doesn't trade. So if he takes it, that's no good at all.
Great point. Now he's just got to trade the Summit Prowler for Snowhorn Rider.
So now I think we're going back to the end hostilities plan. He's actually just hoping that Fennell plays some creatures here. Ideally 2.
Yeah.
But is Fennell too tricky for that? Absolutely.
He's still 2 for 4 him, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's still fine.
I think John has to.
Also, I think Fennell knows, because he's certainly now he knows for sure. But also, you notice that Finkel still hasn't cracked that banner.
Yeah,
it's his second white source.
Right.
So, Fennell knows that's coming. You know, being in the same draft with Whispers, and maybe you pass one of the cards, or you kind of. Those Flying Crane techniques do have the habit of kind of circling around the table sometimes, because there's usually just one deck that really wants it. And once you pass it, you become hyper aware of the one player who can actually resolve it against you. Could have been the case here.
Well, Fennell is down to just a Smoke Teller.
It is a lame follow-up play from Chris Fennell. He really did have a lot of his resources on the board.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was playing around Flying Crane technique and doing it so very effectively.
Yeah, I mean, he could have just absolutely lost this game.
If he doesn't leave Scaldkin... Wow, Trap Essence?
Really?
Wow.
So that Smoke Teller just got a lot better.
That might be the best Trap Essence ever. Yeah.
It's one of the only.
Counter your guy and make my guy a 4/4.
Bring it low.
All right.
So a flurry of card exchanges there, a 1-for-1 and then another 1-for-1.
And they're basically in top deck mode here, yeah?
Fennell has Whirlwind Adept here. Looks pretty good on an empty board.
Yep.
And John's going to have to cash in that Tormented Voice here with that land that he just drew. And he draws a land and a Keru Spell Snatcher.
Oh my.
Is it too late for that? Probably not. Looks pretty good from here.
I mean, you can take 1 hit from Adept. You can't take 2.
I mean, the interesting part is if he plays it face down here,
right,
and Fennell cannot trigger Prowess, he might just not attack. He just might not. He just might want to say, I just don't want to trade my 4-power creature for your morph.
Yeah, that is possible.
It certainly depends on how much Chris Fennell respects what that morph could be, right? If he's scared of it, if he's like, I don't want to find out what that is and let John untap, then he will offer the trade.
Chris has, oh geez.
Oh, Aerostorm to get it out of the way. This is going to be 5 damage hitting Finkel. Bummer for John.
He's like, ooh, I get a goodie.
Yeah, not too bad. And that's 5 to drop John down to lethal next turn. So John's got to have something.
Top deck.
He just finds Defiant Strike, which can't target. So he has to cash in his banner and hope to get a creature.
Nothing to target.
He doesn't find it. Oh, but that
land.
land actually gets him out of range unless Fennell has a non-creature.
The card in Fennell's hand is a forest right now.
Oh my god, so if he can just draw something to trigger prowess?
Yep. Mountain does not trigger prowess. This costs John to 1.
Wow, so the land actually gets John a full draw step here. And he finds Treasure Cruise with it. Oh my goodness.
1, 2, 3.
Whoa! That
4, 5,
Swiftwater
6.
Cliffs netted John Finkel 4 cards off the top of his deck to try to find something to get away of this Whirlwind Adept at 1 life. Well, that's not bad. Now let's see if you can actually find something. There's a
guy.
creature. Yeah, it's a Bondkin. Wow, he barely got there. Excuse me. And is he just going to Defiant Strike right now?
No, I think you need the Defiant Strike on defense in case there's a prowess trigger.
Oh, you're right.
Make sure you trade.
Right. Totally right. Of course, the downside being that the prowess trigger could be a removal spell.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, then you could draw like a morph and have 2 creatures or something. But yeah, I see what you're saying. I like what you said. Oh no, he just rewarded the eye.
Jeez.
He could get that treasure.
Rebuy the treasure cruise?
I mean, maybe.
And now he's got 2 creatures. He's no longer dead to a removal spell.
Right.
He's looking at the treasure cruise.
That cruise back.
4 cards in the yard.
Oh man.
He can tap out for it here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, now he can tap to 1.
He can actually have 1 mana up.
Yeah, playing the land means he gets to leave the planes untapped.
Which really matters because he's got a 1 mana spell that he gets to cycle away here.
Islands, Ascendancy.
He hasn't drawn the best, but when you draw 6 cards, it doesn't really matter.
It's okay if 4 of them are land.
Yeah. Yeah, he found a War Behemoth, which is going to do a nice job of blocking the Whirlwind Adept as well, and surviving it.
Wow, that is a camouflaged morph token.
I mean, I can't even see.
No, it's completely camouflaged.
It doesn't exist in my world. All right, there it is. He also drew Jeskai Ascendancy, so some of those lands that he drew
he can turn them into
away at
spells.
some point. Yeah. Witness of the Ages. John really kind of patched together a deck here. I mean, these are some kind of middle ground creatures, but then they kind of don't matter when you've got Flying Crane Technique. Man, is John actually going to win this?
Is he attacking now? Really?
Well, if he's got a non-creature spell, he can untap them. Flying Crane Technique certainly gets that job done.
Hilarious.
So this is Technique. This can't be
How much
lethal,
is
though,
this?
right? It's
I mean, the Ascendancy
5
triggers.
Plus 4, it's 9. It's 18.
What?
Because it triggers
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
too.
9. Good grief,
And
that is
untap.
18 damage. John Finkel, ladies and gentlemen.
And he even has Defiant Strike. That's going to trigger the Jeskai Ascendancy again, too. Wow.
I want to see Fennell's face.
Oh.
No. JFM. Johnny Magic. I'll let you figure out what the F stands for.
I have a guess, and I think it's rattling around in Fennell's head right now, too. Oh, man.
Fennell hasn't packed him up. Does he actually have a removal spell?
Oh, that could be interesting.
I mean, those guys aren't...
They're flying.
Right, they're flying. Oh, is that Monastery Flock?
It's a flock. Ah. So he gets the chump block.
Yeah, he takes a ton of damage.
He is going to take a lot. I mean, it's going to be, what, 10? 11? I didn't see actually which one he targeted with the Defiant Strike.
Presumably the
bigger one? Maybe the smaller one to even it up. I think he actually did because he took a... Oh, and another Treasure Cruise now for Finel. Wow, can he find, like, another Aerostorm here and just end this thing?
This game has been insane.
Okay, no, that's not an Aerostorm. That's not. Maybe a Jeskai Charm? No, it doesn't have white. What could he peel here? Wow, Treasure Cruise fights. I like this.
Yeah, attack with the ward.
Right, it already has 1 trigger on it. It's a 4/3. Excuse me, a 5/3.
Dragon Scale Boon.
Dragon Scale Boon is going to bring it way out of range, so it just gets to just straight up eat.
Yeah, John attempted to chump block, or attempted to trade.
Right.
And instead, he winds up...
Wow, and here's a morph for Fennell.
Did John actually need that Defiant Strike last turn? Like, didn't we figure out that it was lethal even before the Defiant Strike? He could have had a Defiant Strike.
Way lethal.
He could have had a Defiant Strike here to trade. Wow.
That is interesting. I mean, he did get an extra scry, so presumably he's got an extra spell in his hand as a result. He did
Fair.
land. And I think he did target the Bonkin, so he actually got a bunch of extra damage in out of it. But still, this is interesting. Like, Fennell surviving that, I don't think was on the docket there.
No, I think John was just going through the motions. I think he thought he had it.
I know I did. Fennell says, not so easy. All right, so what is this going to be? Is this going to be Witness of the Ages?
Face up?
Yeah, just the old 4/4 for 6. Confirmed.
Which can trade with...
And back up to 2 for Finkel. I don't
Doubling
think that'll
his life
matter, but yeah, just double him up. This is all back to that Swiftwater Cliffs, too.
Yeah. All right, 6/4. If Fennell can trigger Prowess, then he can beat up 4/4. John is shields down. No ascendancy triggers are possible. I feel like the Defiant Strike...
You think that might have been...
Look, he could have at least waited until after blocking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He definitely could have said...
For sure.
All right, after you don't block, then I can decide on the Defiant Strike. But, like, having the ability to trigger Ascendancy would have been useful in a couple of these turns. Might have been able to trade. Yeah, no, I think the Defiant Strike was a little... I think it was a win-more play, the way John played it.
I think you're right. Okay, here comes Witness of the Ages. That's half of Fennell's life total. And he's just going to flip up a Sagu Archer to soak up the damage. So if Finkel has a way to punch through one more...
Yeah, an Ascendancy trigger would have been awesome there.
Yeah, any Ascendancy trigger would have been great, but he's actually out of gas here.
Yeah, he is.
He's actually would love to see an Ascendancy trigger because he basically draws him a card. With 2 lands in his hand, he just gets to go right through them. So this is a nice close one. Both of Fennell's threats are lethal here.
John's been unable to outlast the Bonkin because he has to keep it on defense.
And there's the War Behemoth. That was the last remnants of those double treasure cruise, and he's just on 3 lands in hand here, Randy.
All right. Well, with 3 creatures on...
And he's just passing the turn back, and not much here for Fennell. He finds a Dragon's Eye Savant, which he's going to play.
There's a Morph, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. You got to feel like Finkel is 1 non-creature spell away from kind of just going off here. And you might even have lethal with it, right?
Jeez.
Or at least force some chump blocks.
Land off the top.
He found another land?
Yeah.
Goodness.
Continues to outlast. It's 3 creatures to 3 creatures now.
Does he have 3 cards in his library? Finkel?
It's possible.
I just saw him spread it out. It looked like it was 3. I mean, he has resolved 2 treasure cruises. All right, that's
Summit Prowler.
It's a Prowler. Now, that Bonkin can finally start attacking here, right?
Oh, can it beat up Sagu Archer now? No, it needs 1 more to beat up Sagu Archer.
Oh, yeah, Sagu Archer, right. So next turn is when it can start attacking. Another land off the top for Fennell. That could be important, though. He gets to gain a life here. We've seen how critical that could be. And I wonder if he's just going to try to deck him. Like, I feel like looking at Finkel's library, it looks like 2 cards, right? You see that?
What was the spell?
War Shrieker.
War Shrieker. Wow.
Time is starting to run thin. All right, so finally, now the Bonkin can attack. It wasn't last turn. It was this turn that it's able to.
5 power first strike. Does he want to attack with anybody else? Interesting. He's kind of representing an Ascendancy trigger now.
He's just going to attack with the first striker.
Yeah, Chris is like block with Highland Game.
Yeah, gain 2 more. Thank you. And here's War Shrieker to go as wide as possible.
All because John squandered a Defiant Strike.
This is really interesting. And Fennell, let's take a look at when he draws this card. Yeah, there's nothing under that. And it's not a non-creature spell. It's a War-named Aspirate.
Unbelievable.
And John has no choice but to just jam his whole team in, and that's not enough.
Chris is going to deck him?
I think Chris is going to deck him.
The Surprise Monastery Flock blindsides John.
Yes.
Who was just going through the motions of winning the game by as much as possible. And Chris Fennell decks him.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Fennell's like, all right, that's a little better. Wow, what a crazy game. That was awesome. Depending on who you're rooting for, of course. But all right, let's check in with Brian Braunduin versus Shuhei Nakamura, the Hall of Famer. Shuhei made the trip out to Baltimore for this trip. We don't see
is Brian playing mono red? He's got 4 mountains and 3 red guys. I'm like, okay.
The Swift Kick makes me think probably.
I mean, the deck list is not mono red. The deck list has some white and some blue in it.
Really? He's playing
a Swift Kick.
4 mountains and 4 red spells, and he's just
9/5/3, 9/5/3, no multi-lands.
Is he main decking the Swift Kick?
One of the 2 is in the main.
Wow, he had to go deep. And hey, look.
Bloodfire Expert.
Another red spell. What is going on here?
Couple Valley
5
Dashers.
mountains and 5 red spells? You can't convince me that he's got more colors. What?
He's got a Glacial Stalker. I'm just thinking of Hidden Way.
Could he have sideboarded into mono red, or is that not a thing? Does he have enough spells?
No.
Okay, so he just happens to have drawn like heavy red section of his deck here. That's crazy. You don't see that much in these 3-color decks.
I mean, he's clearly base red aggro.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The only gold
planes?
The only gold card in his deck is a Jeskai Charm. His white is like Defiant Strike, Feat, 2 Horde Chiefs, and a Seeker. The blue is a couple of morphs.
Wow.
Or Shrieker. Hey, white mana. We found some.
Kind of.
Hey.
No land for it, but who needs it? So Brian finds himself down a game here, and Shuhei, clearly taking the control route here. He got to eat a Horde
playing against
Ambusher.
Valley Dashers.
Yeah, he got to eat a Horde Ambusher last turn, and now he's going to get to eat a Valley Dasher this turn as well. So just sort of chipping away at BBD's resources. And then once he gets the board fully shored up, Shuhei can just turn the tables on him pretty quickly and finish him off. So tough spot for Brian Braunduin. He really does need something kind of over the top to get him out of this mess. And with just mountains, the only thing I can think of is like an Aerostorm to
He's got
pick
2
up
of
a
those.
blocker.
You know what else he has 2 of?
What's that?
Ash Cloud Phoenix.
He has 2 Ash Cloud Phoenix?
Yes.
Holy smokes. Well, that counts as over the top.
Yeah. Turn him sideways.
BBD's on the mono.
Yeah, you do what you got to do. Plan. He's got a Blades now, so I think he's at least representing a Feat of Resistance. He might have it. Shuhei's like, I can get the Valley Dasher later.
Yeah, and he's willing to trade a Bloodfire Expert for one of his Sultai Scavengers.
Yeah, either Defiant Strike or Feat of Resistance would be pretty good here. Right, the Horde Chief can trade with the Scavenger instead of just losing to it.
Yeah, or he could even trade the token for the Battle Priest. That would give him a lot of flexibility. I
mean, at some point, I think Shuhei is correct. Like, you could also, either one of those would make the Warshrieker beat up the Disowned Ancestor. Mm-hmm. But Shuhei's like, look, you don't have 4 tricks. You got 1 Plains. Look, I've got 4 profitable blocks here, or 3 profitable blocks in a trade. You're allowed to win 1.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to win? I'll win the other 2. I'm okay with this.
I think that's exactly what Shuhei's thinking, except for in Japanese.
You sure? He spent a lot of time with the Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah. His English is quite good.
Yeah. I think we want to stay here and let this finish out. Yeah, you can see that our main feature match has started down in the right-hand corner, but I want to see how this...
Yeah, looks like
this mono-red deck. Okay, he's decided token beating up Battle Priest is the one he wants to win. Scavenger trades with Expert, and Warshrieker bounces off Disowned Ancestor. Horde Chief dies to the other Scavenger.
Yeah, so this is like a sad play for BBD because he knows that Battle Priest can just take over the game in a few turns here, but it means he gets to keep his token, and it's okay, it's a 2/2, but it does mean he loses some of his better creatures in the exchange.
Yeah. But you do what you got to do.
You do what you got to do. Oh man, the
attendance.
shields, they are up. We might want to jump over. This could take a while,
has to be Shuhei,
and I just don't see how Shuhei...
I mean, if his life total is like 5...
Yeah, then he can lose.
Rashad, can you keep an eye on that? Let us know if it ends.
What just happened?
Is John totally mana screwed?
All right, well, let's jump back over to Shuhei Nakamura. Looks like John missed a couple of land drops, and Chris Fennell did not, and curved into Bear's Companion and called it a game there.
Yeah, John's had seen enough.
Fennell's got a morph token, I think, in his sleeves there. He's going to want to... Could get awkward.
Wow. Chris Fennell.
Wow, just ran him over. Had to earn that first game, no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
But that one, he... yeah, even Johnny Magic sometimes has some mana issues there. And Fennell, undefeated in the pod, only one loss on the weekend.
Wins pod 2.
Yes.
He is in second place in the tournament now.
Yes.
There's only one undefeated player.
That's awesome.
Tied for second, but tied for second.
So it looks like Shuhei's decided to
well, he ate the
on
Valley
the
Dasher,
offensive
and now he does get to start
gobbling up
attacking.
the Dasher, yeah.
Life total can't be that low, too, if he's willing to attack with 2 of these guys.
Even then, he's only risking taking 2 damage currently.
Well, yeah, it's like life total can't be that low.
Yeah.
He's willing to take some damage.
Yeah.
May also have a post-combat blocker.
Yeah, he does have 7 mana available. Is BBD tanking on blocks here? He could double block Channeling Attendants. It would get rid of it, but man, that's risky. And it also just decimates his whole board.
Pretty sure these guys have 2 losses.
I see. So that was actually on BBD's turn there. He was deciding if he wanted to attack.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and he did.
And Shuhei's at 4.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Oh, Siege Daddy's here. Hello.
That's a good Magic card.
Well, that's 9 toughness. Shuhei's back up to 7. BBD's down to 5. Shuhei's already up a game here, and he is very close to closing this one out. Both of these players are at 9 and 2, so this is a pretty important match for both of them.
Yeah, definitely. Loss elimination from top 8.
Yeah. Second main phase.
Valley Dasher go.
The Valley Dasher of shame. Never happy for that. See that Shuhei actually has 2 combat tricks in his hand. He's got Dragon Scale Boon and an Awakening Bear as well. So if BBD's not careful, he could just lose right here. But he is careful, but not careful enough. That's 6 damage. That's going to act. 5 of it's going to get through to BBD, thanks to the combination of Death Touch plus Trample.
So one Hall of Famer loses to fall to 2 losses. The other Hall of Famer wins to stay at 2 losses. Both John and Shuhei basically need to win their next draft.
Yeah.
1 pot away from top 8.
No problem.
They've done it.